Hello everyone, I'm Jane, and in today's video I will talk about 5 tips on how to paint a watercolor horse. Before I jump into the first step, I just wanted to quickly remind you of a giveaway that is still going on my channel. To win your own watercolor studio kit by Home Hobby, just watch the last week's video and enter by the end of September. Okay, so back to today's topic. My first tip is to always use appropriate sketching tools. You can sketch with a regular graphite pencil, of course. It's easy to erase, but the graphite more often than not shines through the painting and the result might not appear as clean. Watercolor pencil, on the other hand, dissolves when you start to paint, leaving your painting clean of any lines, but you won't be able to see your lines during painting process for guidance. What works the best for me is a color pencil in a neutral color, which won't disturb my final painting and I won't lose my lines during painting process. My second tip is to start from the least important areas and build your painting towards the most important areas. In other words, from the back to the front. This painting is a portrait, so my focus is the horse's face, and this will be the most important area. The neck will be a transition area. I want some definition there, but transitioning towards the blurry background. With this in mind, start by wetting your paper and let the first layer of paints bleed into one another. You can allow them to do whatever they want at this point, as long as you keep them away from the face. I only used light colors and very limited amounts of water for the area of the horse's face. However, the background is dark, you can go a little more crazy in the background area with colors, and also you can let the pools of water just sit on top of your paper and dry, and this will create very nice splatters, effects, and this will enrich your painting visually. The third tip is to try and use a variety of brushes of different shapes and sizes. Different brushes have different purposes and using them will lead to different results. Use soft, large, round brushes to fill in the background and larger areas in your painting, because trying to cover these areas with a small or stiff brush will lead to smudges and unexpected messes. Flat brushes will have a very precise stroke, and I chose a wider flat brush for the body of the horse, and it really helped me greatly to paint some sharper angles around his head and his neck. Synthetic brush like this doesn't hold a large amount of water, which is much better suited for areas where I want to have more control. Lastly, for details, use small round synthetic brushes that are stiffer and sharper than soft natural brushes. These are great to even lift the pigment off the paper if you need to lighten a specific area. My fourth tip is to work on a whole painting at once. I find it much easier to finish a painting without mistakes if in the early stages I don't focus on a specific area, but rather on the painting as a whole. By putting down all the colors as soon as possible, you will see the finish line clearly before your eyes, even when the painting still misses details. And this vision of a painting will then guide you to a successful finish much better than putting it together as a puzzle piece by piece. For example, the background color is dark and it influences the darkness of the shadows that appear on horse's neck. And if I painted the horse first and added the background later, I would probably need to adjust and correct the intensity of the shadows, which would force me to spend more time as well as risk overworking my paper. And while working on the final details of this painting, I present my fifth and last tip, and that is to know when to stop. This problem occurs often when painting details, maybe because this part of the process is less scary and more fun. At this point you will no longer use large amounts of water, but rather tiny brushes with more pigment on them. And it's really easy to get lost in the process and paint details everywhere, which has a few downsides. First of all, you might lose clear focus of your painting. In my case, it's the horse's eye, and I don't really want you to look much anywhere else when you see this painting. The other risk is to overwork the paper and cover up some nice and loose splatters that watercolor created in the first layer. I will typically spend some time in the end of the painting process to find imperfections and either cover them up or tune them in to better suit the painting. But I won't really insist in having the perfect result anywhere else but the main focus area of my painting. So those were my 5 tips. Did you learn something new? Let me know in the comments. Your feedback really helps me improve my explanations. And if you want to study some more, there is a real-time video of this horse painting on my Patreon. There is only 1 tier on my Patreon right now, and you can access all my tutorials there by pledging a single $1. And before I say goodbye, I would love to thank my current Patreons Gloria, Jane, Marcela, Maritza, Patrick and Beata. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video next Thursday. Bye bye!